DJ Gabe was in Liberia recently, and he just came back. He sent a lot of contents to me. He experienced a lot of things firsthand in Liberia, and we met up with Diamond Sompon. Diamond Sompon is a Liberian actress, award-winning Liberian actress. She is currently in Liberia, working on some projects, making some dope connections, okay? So she decided to go tour the palace, the Ducal Palace Hotel. That was one of like the biggest, most luxurious hotels in Africa. It was in it is in Liberia, but due to the war, it got damaged badly. So so when people, so let me share this. So my guest is asking me, so whenever people travel from abroad to Liberia, the first place they want to go is on Mama Point. That's what the Ducal Palace is, you know. So when she was denied access to enter the Ducal Palace, that really made her upset. And we were there. Chisel Magazine was also there to do some recordings, but we weren't allowed to enter because they said a Lebanese man owns the property now, or runs the property, or manage the property now. So therefore, we have to make appointments in order for us to view the property or enter the property, okay? So I will elaborate more on that, but let me bring my guest on real quick, and after I chat with her, I will elaborate more on what happened from the video we posted. Okay, Nubi, you can request again. You can request again. You can request again. Yes, please request again. So, okay. So I'm gonna keep talking until my guests come on. So we couldn't access the Ducal Palace Hotel due to that. So therefore she got really upset. She got very frustrated with the whole situation, and she expressed herself through the videos. We posted a video on YouTube and on Facebook. The video is trending, by the way. It's you know, people are giving their feedback. Some people are, you know, expressing themselves how they want to express themselves about the way she handled the situation of her not having access to go into Ducal Palace Hotel. Okay. Okay. Already, I see my guest. Third time should be a charm. Third time should be a charm. I am waiting for my guest. Third trial should be it. I don't know what's happening. You guys, I really don't know. I don't really know why it's acting like this. So my guest is still adding. I approve the request, but it's still adding. Y'all.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Oh my goodness.
I can hear you. I was like, let me change the location. Maybe that'll make a difference with the Wi-Fi. I don't know.
I'm so sorry for the hassle. Like, it's just
no,
it's tough to like chat on Facebook.
Girl, it's not your fault, you know?
Yeah. All right. So hi, everybody who's watching. I have Newbie here. She's a fashion designer. I'm just going to allow her to introduce herself and tell us what she does. Okay, go ahead, Newbie.
All right. So again, I go by Ellie Naimal. So I am the fashion designer of Newbie Collection, which is the fashion brand that we've been running for many years now. And then also the creator of Newbie Ultimate Runway, which is our annually yearly event to market and brand Newbie Collection, fashion, culture, and everything as well all together. I lived in Minnesota, based in Minnesota. Country-wise, I am from Ethiopia. My tribe is from the North Nation. We are split between South Sudan and Ethiopia as well. So just to give that clear up to all of our audience there. Otherwise, I am very grateful and here to join Lydia and shout out to Gestalt Magazine as well. So let's pray this goes well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So like I've been following you for a while now on social media. I think we connected in 2019 when you first showcased at my very first
Was it
event,
2019? I feel like it's been longer than that.
I know, right? That like the
Yeah.
months, the years flying
Hmm.
by.
Yeah.
So far, like when did you started basically when did you realize that you wanted to be a fashion designer, or when did you started designing, if that makes sense?
Well, I started in high school just for my own personal reason. Because, from the background and the culture where I come from, they're very, very strict on what women's wear. Um, but, living here in this society, it doesn't go with the society here, so there's that culture clash that was going on. So when I go to school, then I look like, this old lady. And then, all the classmates basically just it just doesn't feel right, as a kid, like you feel traumatized with those things. So I just started tailoring my own clothes to wear to school. Um, and the kids at the school ended up liking, so I ended up becoming like the popular kid of the school with a nickname, being called Barbie or whatnot. Um, but I never actually claimed it or even admit that I did it because they would ask like, "Hey, where'd you get that outfit?" And I was, of course, did not really want to tell them that I made it, so I would just lie about it until the newspaper picked it up and decided to interview me. And that's when I realized that I have to tell the truth. I have to admit it. And then after high school, um, that's when it picked up. It was through a pageant with one of the organizers there. Since I couldn't do the pageant at the time due to my, conceit of having a kid, they decided to allow me to showcase my other talents, So it was discovered in my living room. I never expect that I would take it on the runway or it would grow to become a brand. And then from there, that's when I realized, okay, why not? Just keep pushing it.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. Like you're super talented. I have worn like two of your designs, and like when I
Yes.
wore it, everybody just wow,
Mm.
wow, and asking me. So like, how is it like being a designer in Minnesota, like in the Midwest, by the way?
Yes, that's a very, very wonderful question. Is there's a lot of challenges. I'll say there's a lot of challenges. What you see in the light is not the same that goes on behind the scene. But Minnesota definitely has a market. And the reason why is because we have so many Africans here. We have so many diverse. And that diversity that we have is enough to push our fashion and our culture as well here in Minnesota. Where before I didn't really see that, the benefit of that as much. So I was very involved in the mainstream of Minnesota fashion because Minnesota fashion is known by, what do you call it? Vintage. They're very, very vintage. So many shows that you go to in Minnesota Fashion Week are, very, very vintage. And most of the designers that you see there are very Minnesotans. So starting up in fashion designing, I was the youngest and the only African designer in all of these shows. Um, and I decided to just focus on designing at the time because the modeling market is very hard in Minnesota. It's like once they have, this look, then they say we already have that look. We're not going to have any more looks. Um, so I use my
Wow.
fashion designing to push it more and then to also help our women's of colors here in Minnesota to push them more into the modeling industry as well. So that became a purpose of his own. Yeah. And because it was so hard to get into the Minnesota Fashion Week here, there was so much drama, there was so much, going on, I decided to pack up all of my designing and say, I'm going to showcase outside of Minnesota, you know?
Oh,
And
wow,
that's
that's a great
where,
idea.
yeah, and that's where I connected with New York Fashion Week, that one show that I did. And then also with Ankara Festival in LA. And then Ankara Festival became like a family to me. So every year I was committed to showcase my designs there. And it was going so well. So I settled for it and said, you know what? I don't need Minnesota for now, you know? I could just go, connect with my African people over there because the diversity that they had brought together, it was very inspiring. I've learned so much from all of the experience I had with Ankara Festival. And when it was finally ready to pick up and get back into the Minnesota fashion, that's when I had to put my foot down and say, I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to be, pushed back by anyone. I'm not going to be told what I should do or who I should be and how I should run my product. So then that's where we
Right.
came up with Newbie Ultimate Runway. You
Oh, I actually love, that's very
yeah.
creative, like where you
Mm.
you showcase your own stuff on your own time and just
Yes.
showcase all the information. That's really nice. And this year I cannot miss
Hmm.
it. I cannot miss it. I'll be there for sure, to
Yes,
experience it for myself. So
absolutely.
what keeps you motivated, like as a fashion designer? What keeps you motivated?
A lot of times, many of what I do is usually the problems that I recognize, um, just from my surrounding or what I have observed. Um, so within who we are as an African people, I feel like, we have so much potential. And I try to recognize the things we can work on and how we can make it better. Because our culture is very rich. Our continent is very rich. Who we are as a people is very rich. And we have so much diversity. And when I see all of those, the only thing that goes in my head is how can I present those with the gift God gave me? How
Right.
can I showcase it? How can I embrace it? And how can I celebrate it every day and rub it onto other people's faces and be like, look, this is us?
I did.
Yeah. So that's what motivates me to keep going all the time. And I think that's where a lot of my creativity and the contents come from as well, is whatever I see that is worth embracing and worth celebrating, I use what I have, the skills that I have to present that. Yeah.
That's amazing. So where do you see Newbie collection in the next 3 to 5 years? Like where do you see yourself as a creative fashion designer?
Um, I mean, definitely, it's definitely a brand. We definitely want to make it a brand, just like all the other top brands that you hear out there, like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, those things. And I believe that, there's room for everyone, there's space for everyone. Um, whatever, challenges or struggle it takes, I believe I've come a long way and I've faced so many of them. Um, and at this stage, I could just be humble and, be grateful to God to hope that we nailed that, we become one of the brand, in the market. So they know this is something that is created by us and we're going to keep presenting our stories and who we are. So let's hope for the growth to continue.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
really amazing. What advice would you give a young fashion designer who basically, yes, what advice would you give someone who is trying to be a fashion designer, someone who is just now starting out but don't have like no idea or
Mm.
no way, like what advice would you give that person, be a guy or female?
My first thing I would say is you are getting yourself into something. That is for sure. Because designing is not easy, because like when when young talent that are inspired and they want to become a fashion designer, first thing I ask them, I say, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Not to discourage them, but it's something you have to be really prepared. You have to be super prepared. You have to know what is your vision. You have to know what is your plan. You have to have an outline, you know, because it's one of the hardest job, you know, and there's a lot of aspect in fashion. There's so many aspects in fashion. Fashion is like music, you know, where there's so many different people working behind the scene and so many different connections, you know. And when you're doing tailoring, like custom designing for clients, you have to be able to have the personality to know how to deal with each characters, you know. It takes a lot of patience. Yeah, it takes a lot of, you know, yeah, definitely a lot of patience, I would say. Make sure you are patient for it because designing needs a lot and lots and lots of patience. And you have to be mentally prepared to deal with different personalities in the industry. And then when it comes to the next level of producing your own event or, you know, showcasing your show, you have to know how to make deals. You have to make sure you get what you're worth because many of these events were probably not going to give you your images or your videos, things that they are responsible for that are supposed to that you're supposed to use to go market yourself, you know?
Right.
And many designers don't get exposed out there because they are not given those equipments for those events or showcase that they are a part of as well. So that's definitely, you know yourself, know your worth, have lots of patience, and put your foot down and get the deals that you deserve because that will help you in the long run. And those are the content you will need to grow. Yeah.
That's a really great advice. Someone did ask, do you sew for men? Not sew, but design. Do you design for men? Someone asked the
Yes, I do.
question.
A lot of people ask me that. Yeah, we do. I think our men collection is fairly new. We started having men collection attitude ever since we started the event. Um, So whatever theme we created, we try to have both genders, the women's and the guys as well, so they can correspond on the runway, especially for clients that are like matching couples or, you know, groupies or, you know, gang moments and things of that nature. So we definitely do have men collection. So anyone who comes to the show, you will see them. And the models are usually 10 girls and 10 guys or 8 girls and 8 guys, whatever the numbers are. You know.
All right. So yes, to answer your question, she does design for men, children, kids, babies, women. Just hit her up after the show. I would definitely put her email on here, tag her page and everything. So follow her platforms and reach out to her that way. So you guys can connect. So being that I am a mom myself, I did learn that you are a mom. So
Yeah.
how is it like being a mom and a fashion designer? Like you I know you have a lot on your plate, so like can you just give us like a brief summary of how is it like chasing your dreams, going after your dreams, and being a mom at the same time?
Yeah, it's very challenging, but what I've come to learn at this stage of life is management, you know, because everything that I do is like, you know, in the morning you put on a different cap, in the afternoon you put on a different cap, and then in the evening you put on a different cap, you know. Um, I've gotten a lot better at it where I have all of my program, you know, organized like Monday to Friday. I know with the pandemic, you know, it shut down a lot of small businesses. So we have no choice but to work with like bigger corporates, you know, bigger companies. So it takes that time away from our dreams and things that we want to create. So I
Right.
decided, you know what, I'm going to use the company to make sure that my bill stays up, you know, and that everything is paid.
Right.
Because as long as my bills are taken care of, then I can do my dreams or my talent in my free time, you know. So there's those time sacrifices on the weekday where I get home from work at 4 p.m. and then maybe I'll invest 1 to 2 hours on my tailoring before I go to bed or before I start serving my kids their dinner and then putting them to bed. Um, so Monday to Friday is mainly work and taking care of my family. And then Saturday and Sunday, they go to their grandma because they're big kids now. So uh, they have they have their own plan. They start having their own plan, so it gives you more time too. So on the weekend, I can do the stuff that I want to do. You know, if I have a client or I have an order, then I have all day Sunday to work on it, and then half day Saturday, however many times it takes. So it takes a lot of
That's great. That's
management.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically learning how to manage your personal life from your business and having
Hmm.
kids and all of that stuff. So yeah, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to know that. So not to take up your time, we're almost done. We're almost done. Like, what's your
Yeah.
who is your role model? Like when you think of your brand, like who, or what is like your role model?
Huh. Coco Chanel,
Basically,
I would
who's your role
say.
model? Not you. Who's your role
When it
model?
comes to fashion branding and marketing and runways, I would say Coco Chanel. Um, you know, there were times that I was looking at these designers and their history. I wanted to know who they are, where did they started, how did they come up, what challenges did they face or go through. And Coco Chanel's story struck me a lot. And that's where I realized that, wow, this thing is not easy. Maybe I could fall 100 times, and maybe like Louis Vuitton's story. He didn't his company didn't really start profiting a lot until after his death. You know, um, so
Wow.
things like that could take place. But Coco Chanel's story is one story I would definitely, I'm kind of like aligning my life with, and hopefully one day I'll have shows like her, or when I showcase my brand, there's going to be a theme, how she showcased her collection. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice. So where can we find tickets for your upcoming event? And just can you just give us like what do we expect from Newbie Runway this year and where can we find tickets?
Yes. So Nubi Ultimate Runway is on April 21st. Um, and the door opens at 6:30. And the show usually runs about 1 hour to 130-minute long. And then there's a social hour and a gathering hour where you can listen to music, dance, get to know other people and network as well. Um, and we have two platforms, so Newbie Collection on Facebook and also Newbie Collection on Instagram as well. So those two pages are where we put a lot of our contents as we get closer to the show, including the aftermath as well. Newbie Ultimate Runway is also linked on Eventbrite. So on Eventbrite, if you put Newbie Ultimate Runway 2022, it should pop up, and then the ticket, the details, everything you need to know will also be there as well. We also have a page for Newbie Ultimate Runway on Instagram. This is where we post a lot of our aftermath behind the scene and the crowd and the audience and things of that nature. Where mostly Instagram is where a lot of the contents are. So Eventbrite is where you'll find the tickets. Newbie Ultimate Runway 2022. Mm.
Okay, perfect. So, you guys can, look her up on social media. Her show is gonna be in Minnesota on April 21st. If you're in Minnesota, there's a lot of people who follow us on this platform that's in Minnesota. I'm gonna be there. So all of my cousins, my family, I'm dragging you out with me. We're gonna go support, okay? So just get ready for that.
Thank you.
Get ready for that.
Yeah, thank
So
you. I really appreciate
before I
you.
you're very welcome. Before
Hmm.
I let you go, I just want to say, like, I just appreciate your consistency. Like I told you, you are one of those people who are very consistent, with your brand. You always try your best to keep going. And
Hmm.
for people like me, like like I see you, I see you, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
inspires to be consistent as well with everything that I'm trying to be